I really wanted this anime to be amazing. I think we all did. I mean, just look at the kind of people backing this crap. With all these things set up for it, what happened? Hello everyone, this is the RPG Monger, and I just want to say right now that this video is gonna be pretty opinionated, and there really is no problem with you disagreeing with me. After all, that's the only way we can start a discussion in the end. Though, without further ado, let's get into it. A little over a year ago, we first heard about quite the interesting anime, an anime that Stan Lee of all people had a major part in. Needless to say, there was quite a stir around the matter, and now, with it all said and done, 2 episodes are out right now. Usually, I will wait for at least 3 episodes before I pass judgment on any sort of show, anime or not. So I'll say who knows. Maybe they can get their shit together and turn The Reflection into a decent anime. But what even is The Reflection? Well, I'm glad you asked. The Reflection is basically what would happen if you took My Hero Academia, removed any and all likable or unique characters, threw the pacing out the window, and somehow made everything hard to follow. For a formula so simple such as the superpower/superhero genre, the fact that these kinds of things were botched is fascinating, and not in a good way. Like, you want to hear the plot? Well, here it is. Basically, there was an event that took place one night called, you guessed it, The Reflection. And then people all over the world somehow got superpowers. The end. Seeing how there is an actual anime that has nearly the same premise out right now, and seeing how that anime is immensely popular, how could The Reflection mess that up? Well, how about we focus on the positive aspects of The Reflection and how much it had going for it from the start. So one huge elephant in the room that for those of you who have seen the anime will know about is the actual art style used. Clearly it's trying to go for the feel of your classic American comics, and you must give it at least some sort of praise there. The real question is, did it work? And this is more on my opinion, but while it does in some scenes, it also serves as a double-edged sword in others. The line between lazy animation and unique art style is really something I cannot define, as I swear, with some of these scenes it could be either. Oh, and I almost forgot, Studio Dean is the one behind this anime, which only baffles me further because they have shown their potential to make decent anime in the past. Another thing this anime has going for it is that the director is the same director as Mushishi. Surely, with this kind of expertise, this shouldn't be able to happen. And the music is really good too. All of these things are usually characteristics that would precede an incredible anime. Honestly, probably the most maddening part about this all is just how much potential was wasted here. So enough beating around the bush. What is it that ruins this anime for me? To have a good show, you'll need to have good pacing. Pacing is like the glue that holds the story and action together. Without it, you'll end up with a mess on your hands, or as I like to call it now, a reflection. As I have alluded to, The Reflection's pacing is practically non-existent and makes the anime all the more boring and hard to follow. When you think of fights in just about anything, usually they're fast-paced. Hell, if we're gonna compare, even when comics get adapted into something like cartoons, their fights are more often than not pretty fast-paced. The Reflection, on the other hand, somehow found out how to make the fight feel slow, all the while playing music that was made for fast-paced hype-inducing scenes. There will be shots in the middle of a fight where nothing will be moving on the screen at all, like for 6 seconds even. I don't understand if it's their way of making it have more of a comic book feel to the overall anime, and if that's the case, then frankly, they're sacrificing quality for aesthetic, if that makes any sense. Then again, many anime have horrible first episodes. How about the second episode? Did we get anything more out of that? Well, I'd say we did and we didn't. On one hand, the pacing slightly improved, I feel, partially because there weren't actually any fights taking place throughout the episode. I mean, if you're not counting them reusing the fight from the last episode. But then, a whole new problem emerged in its wake. The characters are extremely cliched, and not the typical kind of cliched that you'll see in anime, but the type of cliched you've seen in just about every superhero story ever. Let's admit it, My Hero Academia's premise wasn't that original either. It's the characters that really draw you into the series and really made it what it is. Instead, the reflection ends up being ultimately very bland and predictable in that regard, with such characters as Blue Iron Man or Pseudo Spider-Man. We've all seen these kinds of things before, and unfortunately, it doesn't look like things will be getting much better. With My Hero Academia, there are an endless slew of unique powers that always serve as a tool to keep the viewers guessing what each and everyone's powers are, and keep them anticipating new powers as well. Maybe the reflection has that same effect on some people, but at least for me, it all felt very bleak and uninteresting. Now, you may say I shouldn't be hating on this anime as harshly as I am because it's trying something new and fresh. And while I will once again recognize the art style is something unique in terms of anime, I feel that alone is not enough to make a good show. To have a good show, you need to have all the aspects working together in harmony, instead of combating each other like they do in the reflection. You may also say this is a breath of fresh air in terms of anime, and well, I hate to say this, but just having someone like Stan Lee working on an anime and a unique art style isn't nearly enough to warrant something like a breath of fresh air. If anything, you can take a look at My Hero Academia, an anime that has basically the same premise, but ended up quite entertaining with great fights and characters that are actually quite unique and engaging. Maybe I'm wrong to be comparing the two to each other, but I honestly have to because it's the best way I can show just how small of a change had to be made for this to turn out at the very least entertaining. I feel like the entire deal this anime offers to lure in viewers is the fact that, whoa, when you look at that, Stan Lee is behind this anime. That means it has to be decent, right? I guess it just goes to show that you can have extremely noteworthy people behind an anime and have everything going for it. But when even just the pacing is neglected, everything falls apart. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, do subscribe. And today's cool thing of the day are the most recent episodes of My Hero Academia, because I must say, this series really has come quite a long way now from its first season and has got to be the poster child for an anime that started out alright only to end up very enjoyable. The fact that we actually get to see Deku be legitimately useful and a force to be reckoned with is truly the character development we've all been waiting for. So that being said, I'm the RPG Monger, and don't forget that each and every one of you are fantastic.